It's finally here. It's midterm elections day in the United States. But while Americans go to the polls, a familiar question is being asked yet again there. Is Russia still meddling in American democracy? Well, yes, according to this man. He is Yevgeny Prigozhin, and he is known as Putin's chef. He is a Kremlin-linked oligarch, and he's been sanctioned by the United States for financing a troll farm which allegedly interfered in elections. Now, on Telegram, he got in a debate with some journalists, and this is what he said. Gentlemen, we interfered, we interfere, and we will interfere, carefully, precisely, surgically, and in our own way, as we know how. He went on, during our pinpoint operations, we will remove both kidneys and liver at once. We don't know if he's being sarcastic, we don't know if any of this is true, but it feels pretty threatening from a very senior figure in Moscow. And if that isn't undermining the legitimacy of the US election, then some say what the former president has been doing does do that. Donald Trump, again, questioning whether or not anyone can trust the voting system in the United States. This is what he said most recently about that.
They take boxes of ballots and they put them here, and they take a wheelbarrow full, they put it there. You got some, nobody knows what's going on. Why are they moving all those ballots? Why are they going? This is the most corrupt system.
Let's bring CNN's Claire Sebastian, because you've been tracking this story for us. First of all, Prigozhin, what do we know about him? How much can we rely on these threats from him?
I mean, we can't rely on these threats from him, Max, but that doesn't mean they're not significant. Yevgeny Prigozhin has been around for a long time, but has become increasingly public in recent months, really very recently. He is known in the past for his one legitimate business, which was his catering business, which earned him the sort of moniker of Putin's chef. He got a lot of government contracts for his catering business. He now is known or strongly believed in intelligence circles to be behind two other non-legitimate businesses, the Internet Research Agency, which is the troll factory. That's the reason why he was sanctioned by the US. And of course, now publicly, the Wagner Group, which is that mercenary group which has been so active in Ukraine and of course in other theaters of war before that. So that is where he wields his influence. He has been coming out of the shadows. Recently, we've seen videos of him recruiting prisoners for the war effort in Ukraine. And to hear him admit openly, Max, after years of denying any election interference, really denying any involvement, even with the troll factory with which he was associated, is an extraordinary development. I think it shows a deliberate move by him to sort of move into the public domain more officially this time.
What is the White House saying about these claims from him?
Yeah, so I think clearly it was considered important enough by the White House to address it. Take a listen to what the White House press secretary said about this on Monday.
We also know that part of Russia's efforts includes promoting narratives aimed at undermining democracy and sowing division and discord. It's not surprising that Russia would be highlighting their attempted efforts and fabricating a story about their successes on the eve of an election.
So I think this reveals, Max, crucially, that Russia doesn't actually have to interfere or even do it successfully to achieve some goals, to sow distrust, which is clearly already there. Certainly if you listen to the comments by former President Trump in the US elections, this is clearly a big concern to the White House. They don't want to create any sense that any interference is going on. And actually there is no sign at the moment that any interference is going on, despite Prigozhin's comments, because that will further weaken trust in the system. So it was, I think, really important that the White House press secretary came out to try to sort of debunk these claims by Prigozhin. And it shows just how influential he is becoming.
And this misinformation can be dangerous, can't it? Nancy Pelosi, US House Speaker, has been talking about that, how her husband was attacked on the basis of what she calls misinformation.
The president said, I quote, "The assailant entered the home asking, 'Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?' Those were the very same words used by the mob when they stormed the United States Capitol on January 6th.
That's right.
Do you draw that same line?
Absolutely.
All of this is a whole new sort of atmosphere, isn't it, to elections? And there's a real fear that, right-wing populist leaders around the world will pick up on what's happening in America, and elections will just become generally less legitimate.
Yeah, and I think, Max, the threat of violence from misinformation is something that we have seen before. This was clearly related more to sort of comments and actions by former President Trump than Russia, but we've certainly seen it from Russia in the past, where their attempts to sow chaos have led to sort of real-world actions, real-world violence. Chaos, clearly a major motive for Russia. They want to make it look like things are sort of disintegrating in the United States and other Western democracies, to not only do that, but also to make it look like Russia is the superior society. So that really furthers their aim, but clearly very concerning that we're seeing suggestions that this is happening sort of organically within the United States as well.